back. You're about to meet two brothers who are using a new technology to track cancer. Of course, you're going to see a bit more of why they are here and what that new technology is. Now, for many cancer patients in Kenya, misdiagnosis and the cost of treatment are often the biggest burdens when it comes to managing the disease. But what if there was a non-invasive way to find out what kind of cancer one has, where in the body it exists, and what treatment is needed? And what if all of this information was available in just 1 week? Molecular pathologists Patrick and Kevin Malonza have been working with one such method called pan-cancer liquid biopsy that is being used in the US and the UK to help cancer patients know exactly what they're dealing with and how to respond to improve their chances of survival. Watch. In Kenya, there are an estimated 40,000 new cancer cases and 28,000 cancer deaths each year. Right now, cancer is the third highest cause of death in Kenya, according to data from the Kenya Economic Survey. Twin doctors Patrick and Kevin Malonza wanted to take this head-on through a type of blood analysis called pan-cancer liquid biopsy. This procedure looks for circulating tumor DNA in the blood, as opposed to the existing method that requires doctors to get a tissue sample from the circulating tumor.
Coming back to Kenya, I wanted to know whether people, what I learned there, are they doing this? Are they monitoring this? Surprisingly, the few hospitals that I went to interact with, they didn't give me a straight answer. So for me, I just concluded they don't do this, they don't monitor this. So I got ventured into massive genomics, and we are trying to more so mimic what I saw in the UK here.
In May this year, the test was made available at the Massive Genomics Laboratory, with 33 patients having already been diagnosed and undergoing treatment. The liquid biopsy can tell whether cancer is present and, if so, where it is in the body, whether it has spread, genetic changes of the tumor, and what treatments might work, as well as monitor their success. The test costs 70,000 shillings with a turnaround time of 7 days for results. Both Patrick and Kevin studied molecular pathology and therapeutics of cancer at the University of Leicester and got involved in clinical studies, observing how treatments interact with cancer cells.
It was a bit difficult getting jobs and stuff like that because they kept telling us we were way too advanced for that. We don't even have the technology what you're seeking and everything. So the good thing is the Massive Genomics, they had the technology that we wanted. And the good thing about it is that science and technology, it's evolving at a faster rate. And why not take advantage of that?
They hope through this new method, more cancer patients can be armed with the information necessary to lower the cost of treatment and eventually beat the disease altogether. All right, so Kevin and Patrick Malonza join me now. They happen to be twins. I hope I get this right. So this is Patrick and this is Kevin.
Correct.
Both molecular pathologists. Before we get to know about the technology, what is a molecular pathologist?
Molecular pathologist, it's a big branch, so you need to specialize. So for us, we went to and specialize with cancer. So we check the genetic genetic structure of disease, and we're able to tell whether what aspect of the gene is damaged. So with that, we check also for treatments and.
Wow. So, of course, that's how you got involved with this technology that's called liquid biopsy, pan-cancer liquid biopsy.
Yeah.
What exactly is that?
Liquid biopsy is an non-invasive technology as opposed to the surgical process.
Right.
So basically, it kind of saves the patient cost and the need to go through surgery. Hence, we're able to get whatever tumor or the DNA or the circulating tumor DNA that we need, just by simple blood work.
So, I'm curious why this is coming up now. Of course, cancer has been with us for centuries.
Yes.
And there's been a lot of research into trying to find out how do we beat this disease, especially here in Kenya. This is very new, not just in Kenya, but also in the West.
Yeah.
And why is that?
Because it's a new branch of medicine that has come about. So, and with that, there's the technology, there's no regulating bodies that can structure to give it, how do you monitor this, how do you monitor? So, because diseases are becoming so much evolved, we need a technology that can keep up with this. And liquid biopsy, in this sense, we're able to monitor this in real time. Cancer patients need not to die of cancer because cancer doesn't stop. You need to monitor this.
And how different is this from, say, the tests that are used for cervical cancer? Because they use more or less the same method. It costs slightly less than 70,000, actually a lot less than 70,000 shillings. And the turnaround time is a couple of days. So what's the difference between that procedure?
The difference is that when it comes to, for example, the cervical cancer, in addition to breast cancer and everything, they only check probably like a particular mutation. But the only now, then you go through the whole series of tests. Then in the end, you'll be told that you don't have this. Let's try this other one. So literally, you're forced now to add on top of what you had initially done. But when it comes to our side, we take breast and cervical. We take only a simple blood work. In that, we have our genomic DNA inside. Our technology is sequences all this genomic without the need of actually like coming again. It is negative for this, we need to do this other. So ours, it just checks the entire genome. Then after that, we're able to tell you have this and this and this. And it correlates now to the current drug therapies that are out there in the market. So at least we can confidently say that literally our technology is advanced compared to.
So you're basically able to tailor certain treatments to whatever you find, at least from the tests. I'm curious, you've dealt with 33 patients now. What has the response been, at least from them?
We have a success story. There's a patient of ours who came, a 65-year-old man, and he suffered, the cancer itself made him to come all the way from Muranga. The daughters are unable to go to work on time, only to take him to Kenyatta Hospital and all these lines and this chemotherapy, he takes it every week, and it's so costly. We're able to check what this mutation that was bringing this cancer, and the good thing, we detected it, and now he's not taking the chemo, he's just taking 1 tablet a day, and now he's saved that trip for the daughters and also him. The cost is reduced, and the drug treatment that he was taking is gefetinib, and now he's able to spend more time with the daughters, and the daughters are able to go to work. And if it is monitoring, now he doesn't have to do it every time. He can take even 6 months, depending on the doctor's recommendation.
I mean, the fact that it's so new, of course, questions come up on how effective, how legitimate is it? You've just given a testimonial of one of the patients that you've dealt with. But what's the reaction from the medical fraternity? Because they don't even have this technology in a lot of the hospitals. What has the response been from them?
They have taken it really positive. We have a list of doctors that are requesting for this test to be done. It's saving them time in terms of knowing what molecular defect the cancer is presenting. And a list of doctors that we have been encountered is Professor Abinya and Professor Busahala of Moi Teaching, and also Dr. Gladwell. So they have responded well. It is working. So
I mean, let's talk through an issue that this method is meant to help, which is misdiagnosis here in Kenya. Such a big issue. And like you mentioned, this is moving away from the conventional way of doing a biopsy where you have to go in, get a piece of the tumor, test and see is it benign or malignant, and then you move on from there. But that takes a while in terms of the procedures that a patient has to go through. But let's talk about the current state of biopsy in Kenya and then why this is such a necessary method moving forward.
The oncologists and the pathologists, they already know this. Unfortunately, picture a sizable tumor. If you take from one section, it is not the same as you take from probably on another section. The idea is the tumor itself is heterogeneity, meaning cancer is not one disease, but it is a constellation of different diseases in one, meaning that if you take a biopsy on one section, then you analyze it, that particular section is what's propelling that particular section of the tumor. But if you take a section probably on the left side, if you take it, you're thinking that probably whatever you took on the previous one to be the same as this other one, but it's not the case. Hence, that's why you can be given treatment for one section thinking that it is going to work. Then later, you come to realize it is coming to resistance, and all of a sudden it is growing aggressively. It's because they managed to target only one section, but they never failed to target the other. Now, what we do, we check, because the idea is the fact as in the tumor itself, it is growing. So it is kind of making a mistake. In this case, now the circulating tumor DNA, it is leaking into the bloodstream. We're able to collect this. So now we'll have the whole 3D aspect of the tumor, which is an advantage to the patient as well as the doctor. So at least now we can be able to target completely the whole tumor as opposed to one side.
So we're dealing with a patient now, for instance, they've gone through treatment, chemo, radiotherapy, cancer is gone, at least we hope. And then you'll find in some instances it coming back but more aggressively. Why is that the case?
The case is simple. What is propelling this tumor is different from the original where it originated. It acquired a new survival mechanism to fight off the treatment that you use. Now it will not going to work. Now you need to check this molecular genetic defect again. And how do you detect it? Again, like my brother said, the tumor heterogeneity, it is different now. So it will grow. Other parts of that, the same tumor will mutate. And biopsy is not going to capture all this, but the blood liquid biopsy is able to get all this information in one test. So.
And I'm curious, because you've come from University of Leicester, you've been exposed to such an advanced array of information, technology, equipment. You come back here, you find no one is doing this. Was there a point where you felt, what are we getting ourselves into, especially because we're not seeing this anywhere on the continent? We know it's effective, and a lot of it has to do with convincing people that it works.
Yeah.
So how did you get to that point?
Actually, when we came, when we realized majority of the clinics which are supposed to be doing this, they are not doing this, we were like, no, actually just like, you know what, brother, as in, we need to go back. You know, like go back to the UK, because, okay, I know it's a bit callous, but it was heartening to see that they were not doing this. So my brother and I, we were like, we did this course to help. As in, I don't know how we're going to do this, but we need at least to help. So I'd rather like, patient comes and probably like they've done a whole different test, but no one is giving them answers. So at least with us, we're able to like at least give you an answers which literally weren't given. It may not help you, but at least in the end of the day, you already know what exactly you have.
I wonder why the two of you decided to study the same thing. A lot of our viewers would be curious. Most twins want to be different.
Yes.
You know, you want to kind of chart your own path. So why did you decide to study the same thing and now, of course, working together? It's a great thing, but just out of curiosity.
How I started, for me, I chose this course because my ex-girlfriend father was diagnosed with cancer. So at that time I didn't do the course. I was fresh from college, and I'm seeing this man who I've known is dying, and I wanted to know why are they not helping this man. So I got into my computer, searched for this course, and I got it, did it, and then I was thinking, like, if I marry my ex, will she suffer for the same fate? At least with this course, I'm able to, like, unfortunately, I get to know what is causing, and if there's no drug, I go black market and get her the treatment. But I enjoy my work, and I love helping someone to know what is causing them this illness.
It's amazing because, and for you, Kevin?
Actually, I'm actually fascinated with diseases, as in how a single pathogen can enter into our system and changes the whole thing. How does it work? As in, how does it actually do that? So I got to, like, check around, and even though I found it a bit intriguing, but somehow it didn't feel like it will quench my curiosity. Then later I got to hear what he actually, like, gotten and everything, so I decided to, like, let me just check it as in, like, a whole view. Then I got intrigued because cancer itself is somehow creative. It will find a way to, it wants to survive, it doesn't want to die. So it kind of got me curious as in why so and everything. So hence we decided to, like, let me just venture and let me see for myself how it is. So.
And of course, born here, lived here in Kenya. People wondering, how did you make your way to University of Leicester? Where did it start? Which universities did you go to here before you moved on to the UK?
I went to Nairobi University, Chiromo.
Okay.
Yeah. And JKUAT as well.
And of course, then inspired to move on to the UK and study. Did you know that you wanted to do molecular pathology at that point, or you found it when you got there?
I found it, I actually got interested when I was working in Kenya, Camry. It was, a scientist was working in Rift Valley fever, but it was not for me at that point. But now the case of my ex, the father dying, I wanted to know much about this cancer, and there was no cause pathology. I didn't, just general pathology, it wasn't sitting enough for me. I wanted to do more. Molecular was fun for me.
And why did you feel you wanted to take on this new technology? You know, a lot of times you'll find most professionals want to gain a few more years under their belt before they get into something that's new and, you know, exciting. But you decided, we're young, but we want to do this now, and we want to make a difference now. Why that decision?
We came to realize that the technology that they are using, it will detect at a much later stage, the PET scan, the MRI, and also the CT scan, whereby it will require a patient, the tumor already, like, almost the size of a golf ball. So we got us curious, the technology that we have, we can be able to detect it at a much earlier stage. Picture like sugar. We have the white kind and the brown one. So picture a brown grain, mix it in white. Then ideally we came to realize the technology that we are using, it can be able to detect, as a picture a technology that can be able to, like, isolate and detect that single grain flooded in an ocean of white sugar. So the technology that we have, it obeys the same rule. So it can be able to detect here's the thing you need to understand. When it comes to circulating tumor DNA, it is a very tiny fragment, 100 base pair. It's really tiny, which is flooded in now our normal genomic DNA, which is massive. It's a lot. So the technology can detect it, that single mutation DNA, with 95% confidence at 0.05 limit of detection. That specific.
And you know, then someone wonders the cost. 70,000 shillings. Okay, for the average Kenyan, quite expensive, but considering what you've just explained, you'd think it's a bit more, higher than that. So why is the cost at 70,000 compared to maybe if you would go to the UK or the US for the same procedure?
Take it this way, not so many people can afford 100,000 to just for one gene defect. You take 100,000 just for that gene defect, it comes out negative. Then the doctor's like, okay, now we try another one. You see, then you have to save another 100,000. But in our case, 70,000 is significant in the sense that we analyze 52 genes, and these 52 genes, we cover 900 hotspots. These 900 hotspots in one test. So you save all that money in this test.
So when you compare it to what I would pay if I was doing the same thing in the US or the UK, how much would I pay there for this?
Actually, you'd be paying almost the same amount.
Okay.
Yeah. So in our case, 70, it's affordable, considering if you were to take this even in India, and all that cost in airfare, even you have not even covered the bed cost, and you're able to detect the same thing. You're able to detect it here.
And I must commend you too for taking a leap of faith and trying this technology out. It's never easy trying to do something new in the market and introducing it to a rather skeptical Kenyan population. But as we wrap up, what is your hope for the cancer fight here in Kenya, for cancer research as well? I'll start with you, Patrick.
Cancer research is, I'll say it hasn't gone as much leap, but with us being introducing this new technology, we are hoping more researchers will venture into this. Cancer patients should not be dying out of cancer. It's best to what we call progression-free survival, where you have the cancer, it's not killing you, but the medicine is keeping you alive, as opposed to not only all of them will get cures. We try to avoid the cure, we say remission. So if you're able to maintain it at a constant level, it is good. I hope more scientists will venture into this.
All right, and you, Kevin?
Actually, I am praying that we can work together, the cancer research, the oncologists, the pathologists, and also the government. So with that, we can be able to understand, because if you check online, the last statistical of cancer, it was dated way back. We don't even know what kind of methodology they used. But I hope that literally we can be able to change that with this technology. And the fact is, in this technology, we can be able to offer stratified medicine. Whatever mutation a particular patient has, you can be able to give that patient the exact drug, as opposed to just putting the patient on we don't even know what the hell they're going to be put on. So at least we can be able to
All right. Thank you so much, Patrick and Kevin, for your time coming in and opening our eyes to something new and different. Let's see how far it goes here in Kenya, and for sure the rest of the continent as well. They're young, they're ambitious, they're smart, they're embracing technology, hopefully to save more lives here in Kenya. Thanks for watching. I'm Victoria Rubadiri. That does it for Citizen Weekend. Have a lovely night. I'll see you again tomorrow on Sunday Live with Jeff Koinange. Good night.